everyone, this is Bruce Hitchin from Center Lane, and today I'm speaking with Lou Costabile, and Lou is the creator of the YouTube channel My Car Story with Lou.
Hi, I'm Lou with another episode of My Car Story, and today we have a very rare bird treat for you. We have a 1957 Ford Thunderbird.
He has been posting videos on his YouTube channel regularly for about 7 or 8 years. And when I say regularly, we're talking about multiple videos per week. In fact, Lou, I think you've posted close to 1,800 videos. Can you tell me how you got started doing this?
Well, I got started 8 years ago when my son was 8 years old and I was trying to be a responsible father. So I looked over his shoulder. He was on his iPad. And at the time, he was watching something called Minecraft. And the person was Stampy the cat. And to me, it looked like animated Legos. And out of the voice was coming Monty Python's Flying Circus. So it sounded like, oh, look, here's a dog. And oh, it's over by the barn. And here comes a chicken and a cow. And I thought, this is the goofiest thing I've ever seen. And as my son minimized the screen, I saw that this video had 1.5 million views on it. And all of a sudden, my business analytics brain kicked in and went, wow. And then he minimized the screen again, and I took a look at Stampy's subscribers, and he had 1.5 million subscribers. So I thought that he went from the craziest guy I've ever met to the most brilliant guy I've ever met in 2 clicks. And by chance, I happened to be walking back into my office, just kind of meditating on what I just saw, total silliness with unbelievable numbers. And I was going to a car show, and I had a video camera, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try videoing some cars, because what would happen when I go to a car show is, let's just say you told me about your car, and 3 weeks later, I'd forget your last name. And 3 weeks after that, I'd forget something you told me that was special on the car. So I thought this would be a log to kind of keep the memory bank and remember some of these pieces rather than just a photograph that sat on my computer and never went anywhere. At least I'd be able to keep a log of these cars and these great stories that I was hearing.
I know that was quite a while ago you were doing this. I looked at some of your early videos, and I noticed that some of them were sort of business presentations, and you were there in a suit and giving a business presentation to somebody. So I know that you do other things. This certainly at that time wasn't a full-time thing. Maybe you could tell me about your other sort of business activities and how you've managed to make both of them work for you.
Well, sure. Well, first of all, some of those business suit, you're absolutely right. I was on those. I think they have 4 views on those. But I run a CFO mastermind group, which is chief financial officers who come once a month on Zoom, and we talk about their business issues. And that's cfomastermindgroup.com. And then I also run an information technology business here in the Chicagoland area, a very local business. I also own people rarely know that I own a martial art business because, of course, I don't look very dangerous, especially on the car videos. So that's something else that I do. So that, and then, of course, the YouTube channel is probably one of my most time consuming things when I'm not doing those other businesses that I do that.
How long was it until you realized that you had something here and people were watching you, and it was something to pursue more as a business than strictly as a pastime?
I was doing it solely self-centeredly, meaning just to remember the cars and the people that I met. I did not see it as being anything more than that. And about 3 months into it, I called my 8-year-old son over and I said, what are these stalkers doing? Who are these stalkers? And he goes, Dad, that's not stalkers. Those are subscribers. That means they actually like what you're doing. And I didn't realize that. So as I started to watch those numbers grow, I realized that I might have something here. And of course, the one thing with people on YouTube is they will tell you what they want and what they don't want. There's no, when you're behind your computer and can just type any comment that you like, they'll let you have it if you're not giving them what they want. So they were educating me in the process of what they wanted to see. And there was a lot of good information on there. And I just started to utilize what they were sharing they wanted to see and try to incorporate that.
And one of the things, I mean, you've really inspired me because as you know, I started my YouTube channel back in August, so I'll only be doing it for a few months. Certainly watched a lot of other channels a long time prior to me starting my own. And yours was one of the ones that I've watched. And first of all, I'm blown away just by how many videos you've done. Like I said at the onset here, it was about, I think you're up to close to 1,800. So it's quite a body of work. Can you tell me who has inspired you to start your channel? And are you trying to emulate somebody, or you created this all on your own? Tell me a little bit about that.
Let me start with you. And I've looked at your videos. You have a great editing background. I've watched what you do. You have a great voice for this. So I'm encouraged to help people get to their destination. So that motivates me, because whenever you help people get to their destination, it's, number one, it's very gratifying. Number two, I just like helping people, and I like sharing with people. So it's kind of naturally what my personality is, and it fits with who I am. So I'm very excited about watching you grow. People who I watch who I'm inspired by, Jay Leno's Garage. I think that, Jay Leno's the bar. He's the standard. So we have differences in some of the things that we do. We have differences in the videos that I do and you do. And really, there's no competition, because each person is an individual. I'm doing something different than Jay Leno. Jay Leno is a celebrity. You're doing something a little different than I am. So that's the beauty of YouTube, is it really is the Wild West, and we can either perform well and people will like what we do, or they'll let us know that they don't like it. So Petrolicious, I think their editing is off the chart. I don't try to be their editing. They have drones and everything else, and that's not my style, but I enjoy watching what they do. And I watch some of the other car people. I think that usually my two rules, I guess you'd say, are, number one, it has to be fun. And if it's not fun, it's something that all of a sudden it's going to be work. And quite honestly, I've got enough work. So the second thing I would say is, my goal is to leave a great legacy of not just the cars, because I love them, but then the stories behind some of these cars are just as crazy and amazing.
Well, speaking about fun, I know you've had some fun over the years. I'm wondering if you have any really memorable stories that you can tell me, something that's happened, or an interesting person that you've interviewed. What comes to mind?
Well, a couple of things come to mind. I guess I don't even have to go that far. I'll use something about 6 hours ago that we were going up an on-ramp, and we actually caught rubber in all four gears. And I don't think that happens very often. So that's an upcoming episode. Stay tuned and you'll see it. So I don't have to go back that far to have fun. I mean, almost every video I do is fun. But another great story that caught me by surprise, and I think would catch people by surprise, and they can search this out. One of my IT clients, of all things, called me up and said, "Lou, I think there's a car that you want a video." And I thought this person had no clue of what my channel was or what I do. So I was just kind of being kind to them. I said, "Sure, well, tell me about the car." It's a 65 Chevrolet Malibu, and it was completely taken apart, no interior, nothing in the hood, and completely rebuilt and repainted. And I thought, okay, it's a restored car, and that sounds nice. So I was trying to be polite. I said, "You know what? Send me a picture, and I'd be happy to take a look at it and see if it's something I think that the viewers would be interested in." He says, "Well, that's not the story." I said, "Well, tell me more." He says, "Well, the guy who put it together is blind." And I said, "Blind, like can't see very well, or needs a dog and has a cane?" He's like, "Needs a dog and has a cane." And I thought, wow. So if you type into YouTube, "My Car Story with Lou Blind," BLIND, you can see that episode. I'd encourage that. And it's Mike. The backstory to that you won't see on that video is that when I went to his house, I've never felt like adopting children, but he had 3 teenagers that I wanted to take with me on the way home. And then his wife came up to me and looking me at like I'm looking at you, and gave me the double handshake, and "It's so nice to meet you and so nice to have you here." And it was just charming. And, I took Mike by the arm, and he's got his cane, and we walked out to the car and we did the interview. Well, as we're walking out to the car, Mike says to me, "I see you met my family and my wife, and, she's blind too." I said, what? He says, yeah, she was blind too. She was shot for dead, and a soldier picked her up and brought her back, and we met at church. But you know, you can't even make these stories up. I mean, the great stories that these people have about their cars and why they're so passionate, I hope will leave a legacy, not only for the people who are watching it and their families, but actually for young people who, you know, YouTube is, I consider it their channel, and they get a chance to see guys like me and you sharing our passion and hopefully handing it down.
Well, you've done tons of stories over the years, and some of them, you know, I guess like every YouTube channel, some of them do okay, and then some do really fantastic. And I know you have a few videos that have over 100,000 views. Have you ever been able to figure out what's going to make a great one and what's not, or is it just the luck of the draw?
Um, First of all, it is luck of the draw. So that's number one. Number two is almost like an artist who does an album. You know, you think hopefully every song on that album is going to be taking off. And I've heard something, I don't know how factual it is, that of all the YouTubers out there, and obviously not all of them are doing videos, but only like 1% have ever created one video that has 100,000 views on it. And I'm proud to say that currently my channel has 75 videos with over 100,000 views. So all of that said, there are cars that I think that are going to do well, and then there's the actual cars that do well. So there really is no rhyme or reason. For me, I just keep videoing the cars that I think that the audience is going to like, and just like a great album that, you know, some of them are great songs, some of them never get heard, some of them just take off. And to your point, there is no rhyme or reason. So I encourage people who are creators to continue to put up videos that you think your audience will like. I'll give you an example. There was just a video that came up, Haggerty Heritage video that came up, and it was about a car that I videoed back in 2017. And in the last month, it got 30,000 views, and it's been obviously sitting out there for all of these years. So you never know what's going to happen, when or where. And I see that happen quite a bit. Videos that I've had in the past that just continue to all of a sudden catch fire for a month or so, and then they cool down.
Well, you've had lots of great success, and I'm happy for you for that. What's the future of the channel? Where do you want to take it? I mean, you've been doing it for 8 years now. Is it 7 or 8?
It's right in the middle. It's about 7.5. Yeah. So the future of the channel is just like every probably other YouTuber that's, you know, considering doing it, is just continue to improve. You know, I mean, you mentioned some of the first videos you've watched. I call my first weekend's worth of videos, I call those my burnt cookie videos. Thankfully, I wrote down people's names and their email addresses, and I've been able to, years later, re-video their car, which was deserved. And then, you know, you just continue to learn. First of all, you learn from YouTube. That continues to evolve. And then little things, you know, like putting end screens on and having a second video that people could see, and telling people to subscribe, and putting that at the end screen, and just continuing to understand YouTube and understand what the audience wants.
Well, you tell everybody else's story. You must be a car lover. You must have cars of your own. Can you tell me a little bit about what car that you own that you're passionate about?
Yeah, well, the first car I was passionate about was the 1966 Batmobile. I thought the Batman and Robin were interesting, but when I came down the cave, I still wasn't all that interested. Then I saw the car, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is awesome. I knew that there was the James Bond Goldfinger car, and I thought that was cool, but the Batmobile was, to me, the true crime fighter, and the fact that they put it in every episode just showed you how great the car was. So that caught my attention. I didn't learn later that I was interested in Catwoman until, you know, a couple of years later. But cars that I have, but I have a Dodge Viper, and you see that at the end of my end screen, it kind of drives off into the cornfield with the license plates, "I'll see ya." And then my wife has a Jaguar XKR convertible, and the R is kind of the race version. I didn't know much about Jaguars, and she wanted a car, and she saw this thing and, you know, wanted it. And I didn't realize transparently that it's about 5 horsepower faster than my Viper. And when we were on the highway, her ponytail when the convertible top kind of waves bye-bye to me. And I was just like, you're not going to do that. And she did. So,
Well,
but there's no doubt when I show up at a car show, they see me. So
thanks very much, Lou. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you and hear your story. And I know that there's a ton of people out there that really enjoy your content and love seeing some of the beautiful cars that you feature on your channel. Best wishes for 2021, and thanks for speaking to me today. For Center Lane, I'm Bruce Hitchin, and thanks for watching.
Bruce, I just want to tell you, I wish you the best as well. I even put on a button-up shirt for you, and I wish you the best for 2021 as well.
Thanks, Lou.